When Evan Carter, a human engineer, arrived on the alien world Rilkara, he expected a quiet life. He came to fix machines, not deal with strange politics or alien customs. But on his first morning, the company housing manager greeted him with an odd announcement. "Mr. Carter," the manager said with a polite smile, "as a guest of Rilkara, you will be assigned a personal maid to help you adjust." Evan didn't think much of it. Every human worker on the planet got help from local Rilkarans. They were calm, graceful beings, tall, silver-skinned, with bright eyes that seemed to glow softly under the twin suns. When his door opened, he expected a servant with a bow and polite silence. Instead, a woman walked in, straight-backed, chin-high, her golden eyes sharp like a blade. She wore simple worker clothes, but she moved like someone used to giving orders, not following them. "I am Tharela," she said in a clear voice. "Assigned to assist you," Evan smiled awkwardly. "Great. Could you start by unpacking the cargo crates?" She didn't move. Her gaze met his without flinching. "I will do what I decide is necessary," she said calmly. Evan blinked. "Excuse me?" "Your quarters are poorly arranged," she continued, walking past him. "You humans have strange taste in symmetry." She didn't unpack his boxes. She started rearranging the furniture instead, quietly, confidently, as if the apartment belonged to her. Evan watched in disbelief. "You're supposed to follow my—" Tharela turned, eyes glinting. "Do you command me, human?" she asked softly, not with anger, but with something heavier. "Authority." The room felt colder. Evan raised his hands. "No, I just thought you were here to help." "I am," she said, her tone suddenly gentle. "But help does not mean obedience." She turned again, continuing her strange work. That night, Evan couldn't sleep. He had met many Rilkarans before, but none like her. The other aliens spoke humbly to humans, respectfully, even nervously. Tharela, however, looked at everyone as if she were above them all. The next morning, Evan went to work and asked a local supervisor about her. "Hey, that new maid, Tharela, she's different. She acts like a leader or something." The supervisor froze. "Tharela? With golden eyes?" "Yeah," the alien's face turned pale. "Do not speak of her loudly. Some Rilkarans still whisper that gold-eyed ones are dangerous. Once they ruled us," Evan frowned. "Ruled you? You mean like royalty?" But before the supervisor could answer, Tharela appeared behind him, silent as shadow. She stared at the alien worker until he lowered his head and walked away. "Do not gossip about me," she said to Evan, her voice low. He tried to laugh it off. "You make it hard not to." "You act like what?" she asked. "Like a queen," Evan said before he could stop himself. For a moment, her face softened, almost sad. "Then perhaps I have forgotten how to be anything else," she whispered. That night, while checking his tools, Evan noticed a faint blue glow under her door. He peeked through the crack and saw Tharela kneeling before a floating crystal, speaking softly in a language he didn't know. Her words were full of command and sorrow. Her voice trembled once as she said, "I will return, mother, even if the stars burn." Evan's heart pounded. His so-called maid wasn't just strange. She was hiding something big. He stepped back quietly. For the first time, he realized he might not be living with a servant at all, but with someone who once ruled a world. And if that was true, then someone somewhere might be hunting her even now. Evan couldn't focus the next morning. Every time he saw Tharela cleaning the glass panels or sorting data logs, he remembered that glowing crystal and her whispered promise. "I will return, mother." Who was she really? A runaway, a spy, or something far greater? When Tharela left for the market district, Evan decided to look for answers. He searched her quarters, not with bad intentions, but with a growing worry. If someone powerful was hunting her, he deserved to know what danger he was in. Inside her storage chest, everything looked ordinary. Folded linen, cleaning tools, and a few old data pads. But beneath one cloth, his fingers touched something hard and metallic. He lifted it. It was a crest, made of silver-blue metal shaped like wings spread over a rising sun. In the center, a golden gem pulsed faintly, alive with energy. Evan didn't know symbols, but this one felt royal. The kind of emblem that didn't belong to servants, but to rulers. He placed it back, heart pounding. When Tharela returned, she noticed instantly. "You touched my things." Her voice was calm, but her golden eyes were colder than space. Found this, he admitted, showing her the crest. You need to tell me who you are. Are you running from someone? Tharela stepped closer. If you value your life, human, forget what you saw. Forget? Evan said, and you're living in my house hiding from what? The law? A government? A warlord? Her hands clenched. For a second, something like fear crossed her face. Then she whispered, There are things your kind does not understand. The symbol you found, it belongs to a dynasty long erased. Speak of it to no one. Before he could answer, the window behind them flickered. Outside, 3 black drones hovered, silent, watching. Tharela's face hardened. She moved so fast he barely saw her blur across the room. In one motion, she tore a small metal shard from her bracelet and tossed it at the window. The shard flashed, a pulse of blue light, and the drones exploded in silence, disintegrating into dust. Evan stared, frozen. You're not just a maid, she didn't reply. She only turned away, her voice trembling slightly. They found me again. Later that night, the colony lights flickered. Evan checked his console. Communication lines were jammed. Someone was tracing local signals. He ran to Tharela's door. We need to leave, now! But she was already packing a small crystal case. Inside were the crest, a data pad, and the glowing crystal he'd seen her pray to. Who's coming? He asked. Warlord Drevok, she said. He controls half the outer rim. He believes if he captures me, the people of Rilkara will finally kneel. You mean? You are Princess Tharela of House Ril, she interrupted quietly. Or what's left of it. Evan felt the air leave his lungs. His maid was a missing royal. You can't stay here, he said. They'll destroy this block searching for you. She gave a small, sad smile. You could turn me in, Evan. You'd be rewarded greatly. He met her eyes. You saved me from those drones. I'm not betraying you. For the first time, her coldness broke. Her golden eyes softened. Then your fate is tied to mine, she said. Outside, thunder rolled. Not from the sky, but from engines above. A shadow passed over the building. Alien dropships, dark and silent, surrounded the colony. Evan looked up through the window. They're here. Tharela's hand glowed as she lifted the crest. Then the time for hiding is over. The night sky over Rilkara burned with searchlights. Dropships swept low across the colony, scanning every building. The air trembled with the hum of engines. Inside Evan's quarters, shadows danced as Tharela pressed a glowing crystal to the wall. A secret passage opened with a soft hiss. Move, she ordered. Evan followed her down a narrow tunnel that smelled of dust and electricity. His heart pounded. Tharela, no, princess, what's going on? Why are they hunting you? She didn't answer until they reached a small underground chamber filled with old equipment. The room pulsed with faint blue lights like a heart still beating after death. Tharela turned to him, removing the silver crest from her bag. You deserve the truth, human. Evan leaned against the wall, still trying to catch his breath. Yeah, that'd be nice. Her golden eyes glowed faintly as she spoke. My name is Tharela Ril, last heir of the Rilkaran royal bloodline. I refused to marry warlord Drevok, the conqueror of our sector. He promised to end the rebellion if I stood beside him as his queen. Evan frowned. You refused, so he started a war? Her voice dropped. He destroyed the palace. My guards died protecting me. My people think I am dead. She touched the crest again, sadness flashing across her face. This symbol was once hope for our world. Now it's a death mark. Evan rubbed his temples. And the humans? The company I work for, they didn't know. They think I'm just a Rilkaran refugee. I hid here, cleaning rooms, serving humans, pretending to be ordinary. It was the only way to survive. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. The hum of the machines and the distant echo of engines reminded them that danger was still above. Then Evan said quietly, You saved me back there. You didn't have to. Tharela looked at him, her voice softer. You treated me as a person, not as a servant. That is rare. For your kind. He smiled a little. Well, you kinda scared me into it. A small laugh escaped her lips, the first he had ever heard from her. But it faded quickly as a nearby monitor flickered to life. A distorted face appeared, the mark of Drevok's forces. Attention, Rilkaran colony, the voice growled. By order of the galactic warlord, surrender the traitor princess known as Tharela. Anyone hiding her will be executed. Evan's blood ran cold. They're close. Tharela grabbed her pack. He knows I'm alive. That means he will burn every city until I am in chains again. Then we run, Evan said. There must be safe zones, human outposts maybe. She shook her head. He controls the skies. There is nowhere to hide. Evan stepped forward. Then we fight together. She stared at him for a long moment. You would fight for a cause not your own? I don't like bullies, he said simply. And I don't like seeing good people hunted. Something changed in her eyes. For the first time, she didn't look like a queen or a maid, but something in between. A lost soul finding courage again. She placed her hand on his shoulder. Then you are no longer my servant's keeper, human. You are my ally. Above them, the ground rumbled as explosions shook the colony. The walls trembled, dust falling like snow. Evan glanced at the shaking ceiling. What now? Tharela lifted the crest and its golden gem flared like a star. Now, she said, we remind Rilkara who its true ruler is. The tunnel doors opened, light flooding in as they stepped toward the chaos, side by side. A human engineer and a forgotten princess, walking straight into war. The colony had turned into a battlefield. Smoke filled the sky. Red alarms flashed through every street as soldiers in black armor stormed buildings, dragging out anyone who looked suspicious. Evan and Tharela ran through narrow alleys, hiding in the shadows. The princess moved like a ghost, silent, graceful, and unafraid. Evan, however, was breathing hard, clutching a small energy pistol that looked way too advanced for him. They're blocking every route to the spaceport, he said between breaths. We'll never get out. Tharela's golden eyes scanned the skyline. We're not escaping. We're taking back what was stolen. Evan almost laughed. You want to fight the warlord's army? You've got two people, me and you. Tharela's expression didn't change. Sometimes 2 hearts with purpose are stronger than 1,000 soldiers. Before Evan could reply, a loud crash echoed down the alley. Dozens of drones appeared, hovering like black insects. Run, Tharela shouted. They sprinted toward an old maintenance tower, lasers striking the walls behind them. Evan tripped, but she grabbed his arm, pulling him through a broken doorway. The inside was dark, filled with cables and dust. They climbed the stairs, hearts racing. When they reached the top, they found a small comms console. Tharela knelt beside it, connecting her crest. The gem glowed and a soft hum filled the air. What are you doing? Evan asked. Sending a signal, she said, to those who still believe in the old bloodline. Before she could finish, the door burst open. A group of armored bounty hunters entered, weapons ready. Their leader, a tall alien with crimson eyes, smirked. So it's true. The lost princess hides among humans, he looked at Evan. Step aside, human. Kneel and you'll live, Evan froze. He could feel the energy weapons pointed at his chest. His mind screamed to surrender, but then he saw Tharela standing beside him, proud and silent. No, Evan said. The alien tilted his head. What? I don't kneel, Evan said, voice firm. Not to tyrants, the bounty hunter sneered. Then die like one. Before he could fire, Tharela raised her hand. The crest on her wrist pulsed with light, releasing a wave of golden energy. The blast knocked the soldiers back like rag dolls. The leader staggered, trying to rise, but Evan kicked his blaster away. Tharela stepped forward, her aura glowing brighter. Tell your master, she said coldly. The House of Ril still breathes. The bounty hunter vanished in a burst of teleportation light, retreating. Silence filled the tower. Evan's hands shook. You could have killed them all. Tharela looked at him, her tone heavy. And become what he wants me to be? No, not yet. Moments later, a faint beep came from the console. The signal had gone through. What did you send? Evan asked. A message to the loyal Rilkarans, she said. To the hidden colonies, to the forgotten soldiers. I told them their princess stands again, and she stands beside a human who refuses to kneel. Evan stared at her, half shocked, half amazed. You really think they'll come? They will, she said softly. Because courage is contagious. Outside, the first rays of morning light cut through the smoke. The battle wasn't over, but something had changed. Somewhere across the planet, old warriors would see her symbol light up again. The rebellion had just found its spark. Tharela looked at Evan, her golden eyes calm now. You have a strange kind of bravery, human. Not the loud kind. The kind that endures. He smiled faintly. Guess I'm just stubborn. She turned toward the horizon. Then hold on to that stubbornness, she whispered. Because we're about to start a war, and far above them, the warlord's flagship turned its massive cannons toward the colony, ready to crush that spark before it could burn the stars. The twin moons of Rilkara hung above the night like silver eyes, watching as fire rained down on the colony below. Explosions lit the skyline. The warlord's flagship hovered in orbit, dropping wave after wave of hunter drones. Evan and Tharela sprinted through the smoking ruins, their clothes torn, their bodies covered in dust. The signal she had sent had worked. Somewhere across the planet, her loyalists were waking up. But for now, survival was all that mattered. This way, Evan shouted, pointing toward an old mining tunnel that led beneath the hills. Tharela followed, her long silver hair flowing behind her like a trail of light. The ground shook under their feet. Dust fell from the ceiling as another explosion hit nearby. Inside the tunnel, the air was cold and damp. Their footsteps echoed in the dark. Tharela carried the glowing crest in her hand. It cast soft golden light on the walls. Evan tried to catch his breath. "You said there are others, people who still believe in you." "How do we find them?" "They will find us," she said. "The moment they saw my signal, they knew where I would go. The crystal forests." "The what?" She smiled faintly. "You'll see." After hours of walking through darkness, they finally stepped out into a vast valley. The air shimmered with blue light. All around them stood enormous crystal trees, their trunks glowing faintly, their branches singing with energy. It was quiet, too quiet. Evan looked around in awe. "It's beautiful." Tharela's face softened. "This place is sacred to my people. The crystals remember everything, our songs, our wars, even our pain." He touched one of the trees. It hummed under his hand. "Feels alive." "It is," she said. "And it hides us, but peace didn't last." The sky rumbled again as searchlights pierced through the crystal canopy. Drones had tracked them. Evan grabbed her hand. "We've been followed." Tharela's golden eyes glowed brighter. She placed the crest on the ground, pressing it into the soil. Energy pulsed through the forest. The crystal trees answered her, their lights growing stronger until beams of golden fire erupted upward. The drones exploded mid-air, scattering like ashes. Evan stared in disbelief. "You control the whole forest?" "I am not its master," she said. "I am its daughter." But even as she spoke, a dark shadow moved between the glowing trees, a huge mech, the warlord's personal enforcer. Its metal body shimmered black and its red eyes burned like molten suns. The mech's voice echoed across the valley. "Princess Tharela, your courage is admirable and meaningless." Tharela stepped forward, her crest glowing like a miniature sun. "You serve a coward who fears the people he crushed." The mech raised its cannon. "You will serve him in death." Evan didn't wait. He dashed toward the machine, throwing a small EMP charge he'd built from spare parts. It exploded near the mech's leg, staggering it for a moment. "Now," he shouted. Tharela raised both hands. The crystal forest blazed with golden light. Thousands of shards shot from the trees, slicing through the air like glowing arrows. The mech screamed as its armor cracked and its circuits burned out. Then, silence. Only the soft hum of the crystals remained. Evan dropped to one knee, exhausted. "You're incredible," he said, panting. "But how long can we keep doing this?" Tharela looked toward the horizon. The moons reflected in her eyes. "Until my people rise again," she whispered. "Until Rilkara is free," she turned to him. "There is one last place we must go, my father's citadel. It's buried deep in the mountains. If we reach it, we can awaken the old defense fleet." Evan nodded, even though fear twisted in his chest. "Then let's finish this." As they began their journey toward the mountains, the twin moons shone above them, one silver, one red, casting light upon the unlikely pair who carried the fate of two worlds on their shoulders. The mountains of Rilkara rose like jagged spears under a red dawn. Smoke drifted from the valleys where cities once stood. The warlord's army spread across the land, black ships like shadows crawling through the sky. Deep in the mountain pass, Evan and Tharela reached the entrance of the ancient citadel of House Ril, a fortress carved into living stone, its gates sealed for centuries. Tharela placed her glowing crest against the wall. The mountain trembled. Old symbols lit up one by one until the massive doors slowly opened with a deep rumble. Inside, light shimmered on metal halls that hadn't seen life for generations. "This was my father's heart," she whispered, "the place where he swore Rilkara would never kneel." Evan looked around, amazed. "It's like a sleeping giant," Tharela nodded. "And now it must wake." They descended into the core chamber. Hundreds of dormant ships floated in darkness, sleek, silver, ancient designs lost to time. The air smelled like dust and memory. Evan ran to the control terminal. I can reroute the main power, but the system's language... Tharela's fingers glided across glowing runes. I will translate. You power the conduits. They worked side by side, sweat mixing with fear. The walls began to vibrate. Old engines coughed to life one by one. Lights flickered across the hangar as the ship's reactors glowed like stars reborn. When the first ship lifted off, Tharela smiled faintly. My father called them the Sunborn Fleet. Outside, thunder echoed. The warlord's armada was descending fast. Evan checked the scanners. They're locking onto our position. We'll be surrounded in minutes. Tharela raised her head proudly. Then we fight where my blood was born. Moments later, the mountains split open as the Sunborn Fleet launched into the sky. Dozens of silver warships shot upward, their trails carving light across the clouds. From above, the warlord's black cruisers turned to meet them. The battle for Rilkara had begun. The sky became fire and light. Explosions painted the clouds gold and crimson. Human engineers, inspired by Evan's call, joined the fight. Small repair craft piloted by brave men and women darted between ships, fixing shields, carrying supplies. Evan, the fleet's formation is breaking, shouted a human voice over comms. I'm on it, he replied, his fingers flying over the controls. Redirect energy flow to the outer wings, keep the cruisers steady. In her command vessel, Tharela stood at the center, her golden eyes fierce. Target Dravok's flagship, she ordered. All ships honor the light of Ril. Her words echoed through every pilot's heart. Even humans who didn't know her language understood her spirit. High above, the warlord's black ship loomed like a mountain of steel. His voice thundered through open channels. You cannot win, little princess. I crushed your line once, I will do it again. Tharela replied, calm but burning inside. You can crush stones, Dravok, but not fire. Her fleet surged forward, golden energy bursting from every cannon. Meanwhile, Evan's ship was hit. Sparks flew across his console. We lost stabilizers. He shouted, Eject! A voice called. Not a chance, he muttered, rerouting the last of the power to shields. I'm not letting her fight alone. Through the chaos, Tharela's ship pierced through the enemy formation. She faced Dravok's massive cruiser head-on. Inside, she stood before the viewport, gripping her crest. For my people, she whispered, and fired. A beam of golden light erupted from her ship's core, striking Dravok's flagship. The explosion lit the entire sky, brighter than the sun's. Evan's voice crackled through static. Tharela, did we win? Her voice came softly, trembling with relief. Not yet, Evan. But today Rilkara remembers who we are. As the warlord's fleet burned and the sunborn ships held formation above the glowing world, every Rilkaran watching from the ground whispered one name again. Tharela Ril, the princess who rose from the ashes. The war was finally over. The black smoke that once covered Rilkara's skies faded into soft gold as the twin suns rose again. The battlefield lay silent. Broken ships scattered across the valleys, their fires dying slowly in the morning wind. Evan stood on the edge of the citadel cliffs, his armor cracked, his hands trembling. The human fleet hovered above like silent guardians. For the first time in weeks, there were no explosions, only peace. He looked up as the royal banners of House Ril waved proudly over the citadel towers. The golden crest that had once been hidden in a Maid storage box now gleamed across the entire city. Behind him, footsteps echoed. Princess Tharela, walked toward him. Her once simple servant clothes were gone, replaced by the royal armor of her ancestors. Silver fabric shimmered with faint light, and her golden eyes glowed softly under the twin suns. Yet despite her crown, she still moved like the same woman he'd met, graceful, steady, and human in all the ways that mattered. Evan smiled faintly. So, Her Royal Highness remembers the little engineer who annoyed her with questions. Her lips curved into a gentle smile. The human who refused to kneel? I could hardly forget. They stood together watching the sunrise over the quiet mountains. The warlord's fleets were gone. The people were free, but the silence between them was heavy with all the things left unsaid. Tharela broke it first. You could return to your world now. The humans will welcome you as a hero. You have earned that. Evan shook his head slowly. And leave Rilkara like this? After everything? No, someone has to rebuild the power grids, fix the fleet, teach your people how not to blow up their engines. She laughed softly. a sound that carried through the cool wind. Still the same man, always fixing things that are broken. Evan looked at her, serious now. You're rebuilding a world, Tharel. That's a lot heavier than engines. Her eyes softened. I can't do it alone. Silence again, warm this time. The kind that didn't need words. She turned toward the citadel below, where Rilkarans were gathering, thousands of them, chanting her name. The lost princess who had returned. The maid who had risen from ashes to wear the crown once more. Tharel stepped forward to the edge of the balcony. Her voice rose clear and strong. People of Rilkara, today we end the rule of fear. We rebuild not for power, but for peace. No more masters. No more slaves. And to our human allies, you are not strangers in our skies. You are family, the crowd roared. The sound echoed through the mountains. Evan watched her speak, pride swelling in his chest. The woman who once cleaned his floors now ruled an entire planet, and she was doing it with grace, not arrogance. When she finished, she turned back to him. The wind caught her silver hair, making it glow in the sunlight. You once called me a queen before you knew who I was, she said softly. Now you see me truly. Do you still think I'm the same? Evan's voice was quiet but sure. You're not the same. You're better. You've learned to rule with a heart instead of a crown. Her eyes shimmered with emotion. And you, human, you've taught me something I never understood. What's that? That sometimes the greatest strength is kindness. She stepped closer. Close enough that the air between them felt electric. For a moment, the war, the crown, the titles all disappeared. Only two souls stood there, bound by everything they had survived. Stay, she whispered. Not as a servant, not as a hero, but as my equal. Evan looked into her golden eyes and smiled. I wasn't planning to kneel anyway. As the twin suns rose higher, their light touched the mountains, the citadel, and the hearts of all who watched, and across the galaxy. Stories spread of the human who refused to kneel, and the alien maid who became a queen because of it. Their legend would be told for centuries, the maid and the monarch.